Welcome back to Timeless Messages from the I Ching. This is Stephen. Thanks for tuning in. I hope you're doing well. So the question I asked for this particular reading is, how do readers, or not readers, but viewers, strengthen their inner peace? How do the viewers strengthen their inner peace? So this video is designed for whenever you find it, timeless messages. And without further ado, I cast two hexagrams, and the first is Decrease, number 41, and the second is the Taming Power of the Great, number 26. So if you'd like to close your eyes and take a few deep breaths and just chill out, have some stress reduction, I'll begin the text. Decrease. This hexagram represents a decrease of the lower trigram in favor of the upper because, well, I'm not going to get into all the specifics. It's a little too complex. But the essential point is that the joyous lake, which is below, is decreased to the benefit of what is above. This is called an out and out decrease. For if the foundations of a building are decreased in strength and the upper walls are strengthened, the whole structure loses its stability. Likewise, a decrease in the prosperity of the people in favor of the government is an out and out decrease. Excuse me. And the entire theme of the hexagram is directed to showing how this shift of wealth can take place without causing the sources of wealth in the nation and its lower classes to fail. Decrease, the judgment. Decrease combined with sincerity brings about supreme good fortune without blame. Excuse me. One may be persevering in this. It furthers one to undertake something. And how is this to be carried out? One may use 2 small bowls for the sacrifice. Decrease does not under all circumstances mean something bad. Increase and decrease come in their own time. What matters here is to understand the time and not to try to cover up poverty with empty pretense, empty appearances. If a time of scanty resources brings out an inner truth, one must not feel ashamed of simplicity, for simplicity is then the very thing needed to provide the inner strength for further undertakings. Indeed, there need be no concern if the outward beauty of a civilization, even the elaborate religious forms and rituals, should have to suffer because of simplicity. Therefore, a person must draw on the strength of the inner attitude to compensate for what is lacking in externals. Then the power of the content makes up for the simplicity of form. There is no need of presenting false appearances to God. Even with slender means, the sentiment of the heart can be expressed. What does slender means indicating? Well, even with a simple offering or with a simple gift, the sentiment of the heart can be expressed. And the whole message of decrease is getting in tune with the content, the inner world, the simplicity. For if there is poverty, if you're going through a time of scanty resources, if things aren't full and prosperous to the max, don't lose hope, because this is just a period of time that's preparing for increase. Just as the tiny new moon is a point of decrease, it's the smallest point for the new moon, or for the moon, at least visible. It does indicate hope, because from this point forward it gets larger and larger and larger. Similarly, the full moon can't get any fuller. And that's the time when the increase begins to move toward decrease. So they work together in tandem, both sides of the same coin. The image at the foot of the mountain, the lake, the image of decrease. Thus the superior man controls his anger and restrains his instincts. Don't be confused by the pronoun. This can be any gender. The lake at the foot of the mountain evaporates, and in this way it decreases to the benefit of the mountain, which is enriched by its moisture. The mountain stands as a symbol of a stubborn strength that can harden into anger. The lake is a symbol of unchecked gaiety that can develop into passionate drives at the expense of the life forces. Therefore, decrease is necessary. Anger must be decreased by keeping still the mountain. We have the mountain on the top. And the instincts must be curbed by restriction. By this decrease of the lower powers of the psyche, the higher aspects of the soul are enriched. So the lower aspects of the psyche, or the lower powers of the psyche, would be represented by the joyous lake. The joyous lake would represent the emotional instincts, the watery emotional instincts that need to be curbed by restriction. And also the sacrifice, or the decrease of the lake, benefits the mountain. The mountain receives the moisture, the blessing of the moisture, and also the two of them complement each other very nicely. So this decrease also needs to be remembered, that the lower powers are being decreased so that the higher powers of the soul can be strengthened. And I love these ideas about, with slender means, the sentiment of the heart can still be expressed. It's one of my favorite statements from the I Ching, and I remember this regularly. When things are very simple, that's something that comes to mind. Even with slender means, the heart can still be expressed. So the whole idea of decrease is to get in touch with the strength of the inner character, the inner attitude. And this compensates for what may be lacking in externals. The power of the content makes up for the simplicity of the form. And remember, this is just a time. You're going through a particular time. The time will shift to something else. It doesn't mean a bad thing. To enhance peace, it makes perfect sense that you would reduce some of the things that are too much, the anger, and reduce the passionate drives that tend to weigh on the life forces. Perhaps the idea of the mountain keeping still, you can think about the opportunity for meditation, keeping still, going within, finding your inner truth, and walking strongly in this idea of simplicity and focusing on the inner content. These two things are the things that are needed to help you get stronger for further undertakings. So increase and decrease are two sides of the same coin, and they work together in tandem. It's just a particular time and doesn't mean something bad whatsoever. In fact, it means something very good, because you're decreasing things that are not helpful in favor of increasing things that truly are, and things that are strengthening and enriching. The changing lines, 6 in the third place, means when 3 people journey together, their number decreases by 1. When one man journeys alone, he finds a companion. Again, the pronoun, it could be when one woman journeys alone, she finds a companion. The pronouns are interchangeable. When there are 3 people together, jealousy arises. One of them will have to go. A very close bond is possible only between 2 people. But when one person is lonely, they are certain to find a companion who complements them. So this presents a very hopeful image of connection. Could be a romantic connection, possibly a friendship, an acquaintance. If you are alone, then you are certain to find a companion who will complement you. And in order to avoid jealousy, if there are 3 people, a triad, a triangle in a group, one of them will have to go, because only close bonds can exist between 2 people. So just to recap a little bit more about decrease, the idea of decreasing the lower powers of the psyche in favor of the higher aspects of the soul. This is really what, in a nutshell, decrease is about. And it may be a time also of scanty resources. It could be that you're going through a time of poverty or a time of simplicity. But remember, the new moon always grows larger and larger and larger. So everything is onward and upward from here. So just understand that this is a very particular time. It's a time to strengthen your inner being with the simplicity and the inner content, the power of the inner attitude, the inner content, and just getting in touch with the sentiment of your heart and expressing that, drawing on the strength of the inner light, the inner attitude. This is all about decrease. So that makes a lot of sense in regards to how to strengthen peace. And you may want to reflect on these ideas and write them down and try to incorporate them in the next number of days and weeks. And moving from decrease, we go to the second hexagram, which is the taming power of the great. And the taming power of the great follows the previous hexagram, which is innocence, the unexpected. And then comes the taming power of the great. So essentially, these two hexagrams work together like two sides of a coin. Just as decrease is the beginning of flowering, and increase through fullness ushers in decline, just like the full moon can't get any fuller, it ushers in decline, and the new moon, the small decreased moon, is the beginning of a moon that begins to flower and grow bigger. So too, we have innocence and the unexpected paired with the taming power of the great. So, the taming power of the great. The creative is tamed by the mountain, keeping still. And so, the creative is the lower hexagram, heaven the creative, and the mountain at the top, trigram. And this produces great power, a situation in contrast to that of the ninth hexagram, the taming power of the small. And the taming power of the small, in which the creative is tamed by the gentle alone. There, one weak line must tame 5 strong lines, but here 4 strong lines are restrained by 2 weak lines. In addition to a minister, there is a prince, and the restraining power therefore is far stronger. So this hexagram talks a lot about a restraining power. And in tandem with innocence, the unexpected, on the other side of the coin, the hexagram has a threefold meaning, expressing different aspects of the concept holding firm. Heaven within the mountain gives the idea of holding firm in the sense of holding together. So holding together is the first meaning. The trigram Ken, or mountain, which holds the trigram Chen, or heaven, still, gives the idea of holding firm in the sense of holding back. So here we have the first one is holding together, okay, holding things together. The second idea is holding back, or refraining. And the third idea is that of holding firm in the sense of caring for and nourishing. So the three meanings are holding together, holding back or restraining yourself, and also the idea of caring for and nourishing. So, the judgment, the taming power of the great. Perseverance furthers. Not eating at home brings good fortune. It furthers one to cross the great water, to hold firmly to great creative powers and store them up, as set forth in this hexagram. There is need of a strong, clear-headed person who is honored by the ruler. The trigram Qian points to strong creative powers. Ken, the mountain, indicates firmness and truth, and both point to light and clarity, and to the daily renewal of character. Only through such daily renewal can a person continue at the height of their powers. Force of habit helps to keep order in quiet times, but in periods when there is a great storing up of energy, everything depends on the power of the personality. However, since the worthy are honored, as in the case of the strong personality entrusted with leadership by the ruler, it is an advantage not to eat at home, but rather to earn one's bread by entering upon public office, or getting in society, essentially. Such a person is in harmony with heaven. Therefore, even great or difficult undertakings, such as crossing the great water, succeed. Excuse me. The image. Heaven is within the mountain, the image of the taming power of the great. Thus, the superior person acquaints themselves with many sayings of antiquity and many deeds of the past in order to strengthen their character. Heaven within the mountain points to hidden treasures, just like hidden treasures within yourself. In the words and deeds of the past, there lies hidden a treasure that people may use to strengthen and elevate their own characters. The way to study the past is not to confine oneself to mere knowledge of history, but through the application of this knowledge and to give actuality to the past. So this second hexagram, just like the first, talks a lot about the importance of getting in touch with the inner world, the inner power, taming this power, controlling this creative power so it doesn't get out of bounds, holding things together, holding back or restraining in certain cases, in certain situations, and also caring for and nourishing. So it talks a lot about the idea of getting in tune with your inner world so that you can continue at the heights of your creative powers. And this requires daily self-renewal. And the mountain indicates firmness and truth, and both the mountain and heaven refer to light and clarity and the renewal of character. In addition, the hexagram points to the idea of getting in tune with hidden treasures, just as the heavenly aspect is hidden within the mountain. So the heavenly aspect is hidden within our own being. And also it counsels to get in tune with the ancient wise words and deeds of people from the past to help through the application of this knowledge to strengthen your own personality, because there's this strong personality that is going to, the power of that strong personality that's going to help store up that great creative energy and help you get through these times of the taming power of the great. So the power of the heavenly ascends upward and honors the worthy being the mountain. The mountain is a symbol of higher wisdom, getting in touch with the higher elements. And also the mountain is able to keep the strength of heaven still, so it doesn't go to too strong of a power. And this is a very good balance. So the two work to bless each other. Mountain helps to tame and restrain the creative heaven, and the creative heaven works to honor and bless the worthy mountain. So this talks a lot about the ability of a great personality, a superior person, to harness the creative powers that want to press forcefully upward, and holding those powers fast with keeping still the mountain. If the powers are allowed to go wherever they want to, then that may not be so fortuitous for the people experiencing the taming power of the great, because you have to actually tame that power in order to utilize it and make it productive. Just as a farmer uses various means to help the crops do their thing. Of course, time is an element as well. We can't rush things, but the farmer will do everything in their capacity to help the crops to have the best, growth opportunities possible to have the greatest yield. And also, here we are encouraged to think similarly about ourselves and to tame the power of the great, the creative heaven within us. And by helping that creative power of heaven within us to be tamed, it imparts its own blessings of creativity, and its creativity is expressed through us in a measured and beneficial way that can be useful. So in this hexagram, it's particularly important to maintain an awareness of your words. Be very careful with your words and also with your deeds. Two sides of a coin, the words on one side, the deeds on the other. And by doing so, you're able to collect your energies and not let them be dissipated or used in unproductive ways. You speak what is the most beneficial and necessary, and do what is the most beneficial and necessary. Therefore, your energies are conserved conserved, and you're not wasting them uselessly in certain directions. And this helps to strengthen that power of the great. This helps to tame that power. Both the mountain and the creative heaven work to help one another, blessing each other as well as imparting blessings and strength, offering a taming and restraining force. Also offering a nourishing of people and opportunities, nourishing experiences, being a person who brings nourishment to others and also to oneself. So by keeping still, like in meditation or contemplation, which is the mountain, the upper trigram, the powers of the character, or heaven, the lower trigram, are strengthened so that a daily renewal takes place. And this refers to the effect of the personality and how that personality is tamed and how that power of that daily renewal helps in aiding the person. Both of these hexagrams really work well together, decrease in the taming power of the great. A lot of this has to do with getting in touch with the inner world, paying attention to what we're saying, what we're doing, and not giving our energies over to things that are not particularly beneficial or fruitless for others or for ourselves. And of course, decreasing the lower elements of the psyche in favor of the higher aspects of the soul. Cultivating divine characteristics of a superior person such that the heaven is strong, the Ching, the creative heaven is strong, and the mountain is firm. The mountain is genuine, and the lower trigram, the Ching, the creative heaven, is true. We also have the upper trigram, mountain is brilliant, and the lower, Ching, heaven, is light. So both these trigrams complement one another, and they help us to reflect upon these particular qualities within ourselves that we can bring to light and bring out stronger with this type of daily self-renewal. So this is what I have for you. I hope that this will strengthen your inner peace, and I would write down some of the notes that are the most beneficial from this reading and try to apply these as you proceed through your day. Take care, and thanks again for tuning in.